Yeah, you think?
Now,
I mean,
there is something.
it really was. I mean, it was so striking. The message on Fox tonight is 180 degrees opposite from what you've been talking about. The only difference is we can actually back ours up with receipts.
Um, what's bizarre to me is that the fact that Israel was, was facing reality. They talked about Iran winning the war. It's like, all right, cool. Iran won the war. How do we deal with it? While in the US, they're talking about US won the war. Let me tell you something else that just happened about an hour ago. Naftali Bennett gave an interview. I was going through it with Karen earlier. And that's interesting. He says, it's actually really interesting. I want to mention 3 clips that he mentioned, read them out to you, because I think it says a lot on what the future Israeli administration would look like. So the first thing he says is, if you just say, so Naftali Bennett, who's running against Netanyahu, so a lot of people are waiting for Netanyahu to lose power so that someone else replaces him, and they're thinking, finally, we'll have a leader that changes Israeli policy. But what they don't understand is all the others share the same mindset as Netanyahu, and they believe in a war with Iran. They believe in what's happening in Hezbollah. They support the war in Gaza. They support the elimination of Hamas. Now, Naftali Bennett doesn't have the legal case that Netanyahu has, so he doesn't have the personal benefit of war. So just want to give that context to the audience as I read these quotes. Number 1, if you just say we'll kill the enemy, you burn through your diplomatic capital before the job is done. Much of the world thinks Israel wants to annex Gaza and Lebanon. So you offer a different vision. Quote, my goal is a new Gaza. My goal is a new Lebanon. Then you explain how to get there. Destroying Hamas is part of the path, not the vision itself. When military action is tied to a broader political endgame, the whole story changes. So that kind of this essentially, he's literally explaining how propaganda should be done. He's saying, look, our propaganda is not good. We should talk about the vision being different to what's being talked about now. But this quote is the interesting one. And I don't know what this is, probably a positive thing in my view. He says, he's not against wars, but he's against long wars. He says this, first of all, no long wars. This doctrine or this method of dragging a war for years runs completely against Israel's strategic concept. It doesn't fit Israel. We're a small country. It wears down the economy, wears down the reservists, and erodes our international standing. So this is Naftali Bennett saying, not saying no wars, but he's saying we can't afford long wars. We can't have a multi-year war against Hezbollah. We can't have a multi-year war against Hamas. We can have short wars. We can degrade. Maybe, I don't know whether he's saying we can have short wars, the mow the lawn strategy, or whether he's trying to say no wars without saying no wars because the Israelis are just used to wars. So politically, it would be bad to say no wars, but he's kind of meaning it in the middle, saying no long wars. I don't know whether I should be optimistic if Naftali Bennett wins, and that could lead to more change.
Oh, no, it's not going to lead to much change at all.
Okay.
Naftali. I mean, Naftali Bennett, does he welcome a Palestinian homeland? No.
No.
Does he see the Palestinians as an aggrieved people that need to have their rights respected and resurrected and respected?
He said, no, he answered it. He answered for you. He said, in any case, there's one thing I won't do. I won't endanger the state of Israel with a Palestinian state. I won't sign on to that. He said that literally right after.
Right. Yeah. So the Zionist mentality prevails over Netanyahu. Netanyahu is not the Zionist. Netanyahu's, I think, a cynic. Deep down, he doesn't believe this stuff, and doesn't. And so, but he recognizes, gets you lots of clicks if you go out and say it.
Lots of votes, yeah. Agree.
So,
so that's on the Naftali Bennett front. Then we have, let me see other updates that I've told you about Lebanon. They're pulling out of Lebanon. Let me show you this, actually. So there's a bit of a battle going on between the US and Iran on the Strait of Hormuz. I know you talk about this a lot, and you've been covering it on... you can show this image, this tweet, please, Lisa, that I've just sent you. You talk about a lot about it on Sonar 21. So Trump, in the morning, put out a tweet saying 19 million barrels of oil flowed out of the Hormuz Strait yesterday. an all-time record. Oil prices are tumbling down, and the world is a much safer place. Now, 19 million barrels of true. It's it's not a record. It's the average amount of oil that flows through the Strait of Hormuz before the war started. It's about 2021, I think, before the war started. So if you look at the image we're going to show you now, Lisa, if you open that tweet and then the image on the right in the tweet, if you show that, essentially because there is the line in the middle in the Strait of Hormuz, that's where, so between, you've got the Iranian side of the north, you've got the Omani side south, and you've got the line in the middle, which is where ships go through. Right now, what's happening, that's it, there it is. So up north is what the Iranians are telling ships to go through. South is what the Americans, the green line is what the Americans are saying. The red line is what used to be the lines before the transit routes, but that's no longer the case. So there is a battle now between the Americans and the Iranians of where ships go through. And obviously the Iranians want them to go through the north because that's where they'll be able to toll them. So the more ships that go through that are the more ships that the Iranians will be able to toll. And the Americans are trying to get that control away from the Iranians by telling ships to go through the south. And one insurance company summed it up well. He said the insurance broker says it's all going to end in tears.
Yeah, well, you know, the United States keeps talking about what it can do to, quote, open the strait. Why didn't it open it before they signed the MOU?
Yeah.
They didn't want to. Of course they wanted to. They couldn't.
Project
they don't
Freedom,
have the military. Yeah. They don't have the military power to do it. That's the problem in a nutshell. Or they have the military capacity to take camps and control the strait, but only after significant loss of American lives and at a significant cost. And I think the U.S. said by saying, you know what, not worth our time. Or Trump will keep talking it up, but when it gets down to the actual planning for it, they'll say, no, we got to back off. We can't do this.
Agree. And the last thing I want to talk about today would be the Gulf.